Hello, squad. Today I want to teach you how to construct and understand a two-way table. Call it two-way table. Strange name. And I want to do that. Two things with that we're going to do, construct them and understand them. So make this the title on the next free page in your math notebook. When you have done that, close it up, concentrate, and be ready for something brand new. All right, I have a lot of slides here, sorry, that we're going to use in class, but that we may not use here, so I may skip some stuff. Don't worry about that. So in 6th and 7th grade statistics, we looked at ways to answer what we called a statistical question. A statistical question is anything with variation in it. The answers might vary. We answered statistical questions with numbers sometimes, means, median, modes, and range. We also answered them with graphs and charts sometimes. This is called a box and whisker chart, sort of like if the statistical question is, how did you do on the math test? That would vary. Not everybody did the same on the math test. We made a box and whisker chart like this to answer the question, or sometimes we made histograms, that is called to answer those questions, or line plots or dot plots to answer a statistical question. These are all just ways to show variation in answers. That was how we answered a statistical question. And in 8th grade statistics so far, we've been using scatter plots, and scatter plots show how to answer two statistical questions that are related or possibly not related. So for instance, this scatter plot answers two statistical questions. How much did whatever we're measuring here weigh? I guess it's a car. And how many miles per gallon did the car get? And so if we take any single piece of data, it shows us the answer to two statistical questions at the same time. Scatter plots let us do that. So scatter plots, you'll notice we use measurements or numbers all the time here. Whatever we put on the x-axis, it's always numbers. Whatever we put on the y-axis, always numbers. I think I said those backwards. It's always things we measure. The statistical question, the answer is a number and another number. Some statistical questions, their answers aren't numbers. They're more like categories. So if I ask, like, do you have an Apple, Chrome, or Windows computer? That is a statistical question because it's going to be a different answer for different people. But you're not going to give me a number answer to that question. You're either going to tell me I have this, or this, or this, or you might not have any of those, or you might have more than one, or there might be some other kind I'm not aware of. But your answer would be a category, not a number. I couldn't measure it. Do you live in Grayson, Loganville, or another city? Your answer is going to be a category. What's your favorite subject in school? What school did you go to for 5th grade? These are all categories of answers. They're not going to be numbers or anything we can measure. And scatter plots aren't very useful for questions like these. So if I wanted to pick, a couple of these questions to answer with a scatter plot, and I want to put your computer down here, well, how do I make what these aren't numbers down here. What do I put first? How far apart? Do I just put Apple and Chrome and Windows, and then up here do I put Grayson and Loganville and different? And then like Grayson and Apple, like what if a lot of people fit here? How many would I put in one place? And they just don't come out right. Scatter plots don't come out very well when your questions ask for category answers. They just don't really work out. So we use another type of display for questions where the answers are categories called a two-way table. So here we go. So Ms. Johnson's class collected data on whether or not they have a curfew, statistical question number 1, on school nights, and whether or not they have assigned chores at home, statistical question number 2. So we've got two statistical questions. And you'll notice the answers are both categories. First question, you either have a curfew or no curfew. It's not a number answer, it's a category answer. Second statistical question, do you have assigned chores at home? You either do or you don't. Category answers, they're not measurements. And so when you make one of those, we make a chart like this called a two-way table, sometimes to answer questions where the answers are categories. So here it is. Here's the results of the two-way table made by the student in this class. And let's talk about first just today like how to read that. Let's make sure we understand that. So some questions you might try to find the answer from a two-way table might be something like this. How many students have a curfew? So looking at this table, here's the people that said they had a curfew. Now notice I have to do a small bit of work here to figure out which curfew number do I choose. So of the people that had a curfew, 12 of them also had chores. So the people in that box had chores and they had a curfew on school nights, both. The people here also had a curfew, 5 of them, and no chores. So everybody here had a curfew and everybody here had a curfew. And you'll notice oftentimes there's a column at the end here where they add those up and they say a total of 17 people had a curfew. So that's not always there at the end. Sometimes you might not have that and you might not have this. You might just have to do a little bit of the work on your own and say, well, these people and these people had a curfew, so all in all it's 17. Sometimes it'll be there written out like that too. I like when they are. I often make them where they are because I think it's helpful. B, how many students don't have a curfew or chores? So now you'll notice this one I only asked about one question, the curfew question. Where I'm getting to now in B is I'm asking about both questions at the same time. How many students don't have a curfew or chores? So that would be the people who have no chores and no curfew. They are located here. It is those 10 people. So in that case, I only have to look in one box. That's what that one box means. No chores and no curfew. 10 people living the life right there, aren't they? C, how many students have a curfew but don't have chores? So now I'm looking for yes, curfew, no chores. Those people are here. Excuse me. And there are 5. Hopefully this is getting the hang of how these work out. I'm pressing forward, not back, sorry. What percent of students surveyed have chores? What percent of students surveys have curfews but not chores? We're going to save those questions for another day. We're going to spend a whole day talking about percents. Today I just want you to understand the table and read them. And this too. So that's kind of how these tables work. Let's open your notebook. Let's make one and then let's interpret one. So we're going to both make one and interpret one here today. So Eloise surveyed the students in the cafeteria and found 38 males agree with the new cafeteria rules and 70 do not. There were 92 females and 41 agree. Construct a two-way table summarizing the data. So first thing we've got to do is even figure out what was she asking about? What were the categories involved in this survey? So first one, it seems to be whether or not you agree or do not agree with the new cafeteria rules that I see here. So does that question go here or does that question go here? Doesn't matter. You may put it anywhere you want. I'll probably put the first one on the top. So I might make an agree with the new cafeteria rules and a do not agree with the new cafeteria rules category. And I have some, well, let's come back to the info later. Second question, I'll notice here she starts to mention females. So I'm guessing that the other category is, are you male or are you female? See if the whether or not you agree has anything to do with male or female, if more agree or don't agree based on that. So that's where we're starting with. That appears to be the two statistical questions that were asked. Male or female, and do you agree or do you not agree? Those are both statistical questions because the answers would vary from person to person. So next step is to try to fill in some of these numbers here. This gives like a little bit of a puzzle when they're presented like this. So found that 38 males agree. So in this column, this box right here, males that agree is 38. 70 do not. So 38 males agree, 70 do not. So it sounds like also 70 males do not agree. So I'm going to put 70 there as well. 70 there as well. All right. There were 92 females surveyed. There's my next number. It doesn't say whether those 92 agreed or disagreed. It just tells me that the total number of females surveyed was 92. So you'll notice there, oops, there's your news. It didn't separate them out by who they were. I got a total of 92 females surveyed. 41 of them agree. So now I get some information there. 41 of them agree. That is here, females who agree. 41. Let's put that in. Construct a two-way table summarizing the data. Well, you'll notice I have a lot of blanks still. So there's still quite a bit of information given, but there's still quite a bit of information to find as well. This is just like a small puzzle now to figure out. For instance, I don't have the total number of males, but I could figure out 38 and 70. I can put those together easily. That is 108 males were surveyed. So like I just add, the total number of males is the ones that agree and the ones that don't agree put together. So that one I can just kind of look at and find. I don't know the number of females that did not agree, but I can figure it out. There were 92 total, 41 agreed. The rest, which is 51, must have not agreed with the rules. Let's see, how many total people agreed? I don't have that either, but I can figure it out. 38 plus 41 is 79. How many total people didn't agree? Don't have that either. Can add them up. 121. And this box right here is like the total of everybody. The total number of agree and disagree, or the total number of male and female. I should get the same number if I add these together, or if I add these together. Should be the same either way. That's a good way to sometimes double check your answer. If I add those together, it is 200. If I add those together, it's also 200, so I have 200. So sometimes you get like part of the information for one of these tables and you have to figure out the rest. So look here, a total number of people, like way more people don't agree. Pretty close to half and half male and female in the survey. So that's how you create a two-way table. And looking ahead, it looks like what we're going to do. So sometimes you'll be asked questions like this. You'll be given a two-way table, ask some questions about it. Sometimes you'll be asked to make a two-way table before you ask the questions about it, and the questions would come out like that. So that is your starter on how to read and interpret a two-way table. I hope that makes a lot of sense. I do know to make it in time, I did one version where you got the table, answered the questions, and one version where you got the questions, made the table. So if that was kind of confusing, and now that you've done both, if you want to go back and look at each again, it may make more sense if you're finding this unclear, and I hope you'll do that. Thanks for your attention, and I will see you tomorrow.